Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. Oh, I like this sort of voice. This is the kind of like radio, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. My name is Keith Daly and I'll be taking you from wherever you need to go because this is drive time, baby. Okay, right now we've got Steps coming up with their new single. This is a podcast. The Boys Gone Wild podcast, because I'm worried this is starting to come across like a YouTube, those YouTube shows with sort of often quite unfunny American people, but who've done a lot of research and they sit at a table and they've got like images and videos and stuff. Like I edit stuff into this, but this is fundamentally a podcast, a daily podcast. So I don't want the pressure of like a YouTube show, because those shows, though it might look a lot like one of those shows, they do like one a week or one a month, and they do a lot of research. I, as I've said many times, spread my cheeks and talk out of my anus. That's how this show works. So I want it to have the pressure of being a podcast. So I will be talking shit. Okay? It's daily. There's gonna be a lot of bilge that comes out of my mouth, and that's just the way it is. So yes, I would not use this as a primary source in an essay. No. But yes, I think it's been a month of quarantine. Quarantine's fine. Me and Mum doing what? This is the most time I've spent with my mum for a long time, since I've been a kid, and it's weird because when me and Mum spend a lot of time together, because there's some ways, the ways that we are similar are quite, basically it's just me and her, we turn into like a middle class New York gay couple, quite refined. Like yesterday morning she goes, is it just me? She says, I'm in bed. She goes, is it just me or is it a blueberry pancake morning? And I was like, bitch, yes please. Like that actually happened. So we spend most of our time talking about food, cooking food, or watching old Hollywood movies. We're literally a bunch of queens from Queens. That's what we're like. A bunch of queens from Manhattan. That's we know all the Broadway shows, all the hits. We have arguments. We don't speak to each other for like 4 days. But what Mum's been pissing me off recently is that I can hear her on the phone, because she's one of those, I'm not sure if you guys have mums like that. I don't know if where they spend their whole life just laughing on the phone. My mum, his entire existence is to be her on the phone going, yeah, no, oh, no, really? Yeah, no, I did see that on Radio 4. Yes, it was interesting. I never knew that about tulips. Who knew that they blossomed in Antarctica? Yes, it was very interesting. Yes, he is very handsome, isn't he? And then whenever you try and speak to them, when they're on the phone, my mum will always be like, get down! Go away! I'm on the phone! Can't you say I'm on the phone? Yes, Mum, I know you're on the phone, but I just need to ask where something is. What is it about older people on the phone that they have no conception that you can stop that conversation for a second? Like, if I'm on the phone and someone needs to speak to me and it's not crazy urgent, if I'm just catching up, I can go, yeah, what is it? Oh, yeah, it's over there, just checking there. But if you speak to someone over the age of 50 on the phone, they're like, get away! Can't you see I'm on the phone? I'm literally speaking on a telephone. Can't you see I am talking on a telephone? Yes, I can see you're on the telephone, Mum. Because she acts like the role of being on a telephone is trying to trick people trick the other person to thinking you're alone. It's literally like the way she speaks to me when I try and speak to her when she's on the phone. It's like the TV license man is coming around and we haven't played the license. She's like, hide under the sofa. Don't make a noise. Shh, I'll handle this. Shh, I'll handle this. Fucking ridiculous. But one of the films we watched was Sliding Doors. Very shit film, very trashy film, made in 1997, the year of my birth, with not one Gwyneth Paltrow, but two Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow, And Gwyneth Paltrow.
If you are thinking, shit, I love Gwyneth Paltrow, is there anything better than Gwyneth Paltrow? Well, how about this? 2 Gwyneth Paltrows, okay? And it's a very clever concept. It's a bit of a high concept film. It's basically like Christopher Nolan film, yeah? It's like Christopher Nolan films with a couple of laughs thrown in. Because, get this, you ready? It's like Inception. It's that sort of level of brain power being used. It's about this woman whose life, it's about following this woman's life, one where she gets on the train, one when she misses the train, and they go in very different directions. That's to put it lightly. That is to put it lightly, and it really puts an interesting perspective on the idea of even the smallest decisions can have the biggest effect. But that's not the interesting part about the film. The interesting part about the film is, one, how shit Gwyneth Paltrow's English accent is.
Just caught that train. I'd been home ages ago.
But 2, the presentation of London. I'm sort of obsessed with British culture from the late 90s to the early noughties, because it's sort of a golden period which has been sort of untarnished by becoming generic. Do you know what I mean? Like, the recent past is always a fascinating time because it's similar but slightly different. It's like a weird, uncanny feeling because things are very similar but they're just a bit off. Because if you look at like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, we have such a clear idea of the stereotypes, what that define them, that they sort of, you can't really view them properly for what they are. They see, like, if you can have a decade themed restaurant, like you can have an 80s themed restaurant, there's no way that you can actually ever view the 80s properly. The 80s can never, I will never be able to understand the 80s because I've been to an 80s themed restaurant, which means that it's been boiled down to its kind of key components. But the noughties and late 90s, because it's still in that sweet spot, so it takes about 30 years for them to become completely lost to kind of merchandise and stereotypes. It's still a bit untapped. But I love noughties, 90s London because it's this strange place where the economy's good, people dress awfully, you can afford to live in Zone 2, no one has smartphones, boot-cut jeans are in fashion, so much denim. Hair, every single British man in the noughties, it seemed, every single trendy British man, because weirdly, men back then were more camp and more homophobic. It was still a time where a trendy man would go, I'm not gay, but say it like, I'm not gay. Like, it's a weird time where the hairstyle of all men, all British men, looked like you'd woken up, looked in the mirror and said, yeah. No British man from 1997 to 2005 ever touched his hair in the morning. Well, they probably did, but they try to make it look as much like they just woken up in bed. Hopefully, you get a cowlick, because the ideal thing is to make it look like you've been attacked in a pillow fight. Like if you look at any of the members of Busted, but at the end of the film, they played Dido, which just for me, they played the song "Thank You, Dido," which was actually written which is her biggest hit, and it was actually written for the film Sliding Doors. And when I saw it, I just got this clear vision of that time. This sums up late 90s, early noughties London. Our parents were fucking jiving to this tune. The amount of profound thoughts our parents have had to this song is unreal. Like, I'm sure I bet my mum, I want to thank you for giving you the best day of my life. Like, there's no way that my mum didn't listen to that when she still loved my dad, when I was on the way, and thought, like, God, I'm so grateful for how great life is. Little did she know. That actually reminds me, I've got a funny story about, but in 2014, at Reading, I think it was 2014, at Reading Festival, which is for people outside the UK, it's a coming of age thing. When you finish your GCSEs, you go to Reading Festival, you take drugs for the first time, you get absolutely spasticated out of your mind, and you reach a high that you spend the rest of your life trying to recreate. And when we went to Reading 2014, I think the headliner was Eminem. And of course, all of me and my friends are white, so Eminem was a big deal. We of course knew all the lyrics, but headliners at Reading normally have a support act, so we were talking about who it was going to be, and there was a big rumour spread around the camp that the support act this year was going to be Snoop Diggity Dog Dog, and I was very excited because having Snoop Dogg and Eminem both in the same smelly field in Reading is quite an exciting time. But Eminem was like, "Are you ready for my special act? All the way from London. Please welcome the stage, Dido." Dido? I'm a huge fan of Dido, don't get me wrong. I want to thank you for giving you the best day here of my life. Oh, but Dido, it was disappointing because I was watching Eminem to get away from Dido. Maybe me watching Eminem and Eminem bringing on Dido. It's hard to get much whiter than that. That is that's spectacularly white, isn't it? And it was funny because when Eminem left the stage, he was leaving, and then you could see him as if he'd forgotten something, and then he turns around and goes, which I just love. I love the thought process that Eminem must have gone through to be like, "Oh shit, I forgot to tell the crowd of 30,000 people who've come and see me to go fuck themselves. Oh shit, fuck off." Oh shit, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to quickly run through to the boy gone wild this week, which is the Wealdstone Raider. Do you guys know who the Wealdstone Raider is? He's the guy who did "You Got No Fans? You Got No Ground? You want some? You want some, I'll give it ya."
You've got no friends. You've got no ground.
Them fucking Hawks are playing well, I'm telling you.
Well, you want some?
Hey?
You want some?
Well, the Hawks are playing well, wouldn't
You
they?
want some or what?
Are you red?
You want some
They're
or what?
fantastic. They're fantastic.
Basically, he's an old pisshead, quite a strange little man who supports Wealdstone, which is a non-league football team, and someone recorded themselves basically jeering at him, and he responds by challenging them to a fight. And it's funny, it went very viral, loads of vines had, "You want some? I'll give it ya." And he became an internet sensation. Before you know it, from there, he he started doing music. This song right here.
I'm the Wealdstone Raider. You might know who I am.
He managed to get a song. This came to number 5 in the charts.
No tunes and no fans. That's why I'm here. The Wealdstone Raider.
Admittedly, hate to say it, but the tune fucking slaps. Woo! So this strange little man who has never come close to fame in his life, is probably, he's had a lot of problems, gets pissed at a non-league football game, and before he knows it, he becomes an almost household name. Like, me and my friend were obsessed with the Wealdstone Raider, and he started doing, they started carting her around nightclubs around England for him to just go on the decks and go, "You got no fans?" And people fucking loved it. He had meet and greets. He had fan meet and greets. But why he's fascinating is because it's sort of like a new type of fame that's rarely been seen, where he's not even like a YouTuber or a TikTok star or a reality TV star. Like, all these things that were kind of new. YouTubers were new 5 years ago. Reality TV stars were new like 20 years ago. But he's one of the first memes. He's just a 3-dimensional living meme. So your relation to him as a fame, it's not that he's been in the Big Brother house and you've watched like 20 episodes of him being a dick. It's for 36 seconds in his life. He said, "You want some? I'll give it you." And now he's doing club tours around London. He did that song. He did this song. Fans. I made it to 5th in the UK charts. 5th. Okay? So from that video, this poor guy made it to 5th in the charts. And I feel sorry for him because must be, some people aren't cut out for fame, and some people are not built for it, and some people shouldn't have it and didn't want it in the first place. Like, I saw an interview with him where he's saying, like, they said, if you could live your life again, what would you do? He said, I wish I'd never gone to that fucking football game. And, like, fair enough to the poor guy, because he's being used by other people to make money. And if you're getting offered money to wish people happy birthday, of course you're going to take it. But now he's got this life that he doesn't belong in. It's just a very weird thing. My friend even got him to say a birthday, paid 30 quid for him to wish his mate a happy birthday.
If you want some puke, I'll give it you. Good luck, you cheeky cunt, on using your virginity and getting that epic victory royale. Have a good one, mate. All the best.
It's just ridiculous. And the moment where I realised, wow, fame is changing a lot, is when I saw an image of the Wealdstone Raider on a stag do, handcuffed to the stag, to the groom, the guy getting married. How mental is that? You can now hire the Wealdstone Raider, you want Sam, to accompany you on a stag do. That's how far we've fallen. You can think of, like, I don't know, in the 20s, like, what celebrity was then. It'd be like Charlie Chaplin, or like, you know, Greta Garbo. It'd be these people who, they belong as in this kind of heightened astroplane where they're mysterious, they live a different life, the fans are just desperate to even have a smell or touch of them. Now you can, for the right amount of money, you can pay a celebrity to fucking tie yourself to him. Like, these aren't fans who are desperate to meet someone they like. These are people paying for a service to turn him into a sort of fame slave. It made me really sad seeing this poor little fella who, he's a roofer, and now he's come to 5th in the charts. And the worst thing about it, the thing that really is the worst, is that if I saw him in the street, I would get way more starstruck than if I saw, I don't know, Tom Hardy. It's just weird. A guy from a meme, if I saw the Wealdstone Raider walking down the street, I would get so much more excited than if I saw Tom Hardy walking down the street. Because it's, you want Sam, you got no fans kind of guy. I've run over again. I'm trying to keep these shorter. I don't like it when I run over. But there's just so much fucking juice everywhere. Yeah, cool. That's the end of the app. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you are enjoying it, just tell your friends. I'm going to just keep on trying to do this every day. Remember, it's a miracle when any one of these comes out.